start? Okay, so I think we're about ready to start. So just a few more people just coming in. Right, so we're going to shut doors or... Okay, so the session now, we're going to run for about 40 minutes, is on the Dynamics CRM roadmap. As always, this is quite a full session. There's a lot of content to get through. With everything with CRM Online, we get a release in the spring release, and we get a release coming up in the November. We've been lucky, literally in the last, I think, at 7:30 this morning, I got the okay from Microsoft that we are allowed to show CRM 2016, which should be, I think, the first publicly showing of CRM 2016 in the world. So I was at the CRMG UG last week, and Microsoft only showed a very small part of the task-based sort of video. It didn't even show 2016. So fingers crossed, we're in the alpha release. It all goes okay. So you probably know myself and Dylan, but we're both MVPs for CRM. I'm the product manager for Dynamics CRM at Intergen. I've been doing CRM for over 15 years. I see myself as a bit of an evangelist around CRM, working with lots of different CRM products. You can follow me on FozzyNZ or nakedcrm.com, where I blog about more business-related topics around CRM and how you can achieve your goals using standard configuration with the Dynamics product.
And I'm Dylan. I'm a solution architect with Intergen for all the Microsoft products that focus a lot on CRM. Let's try to put this down. Is that better? There we go. Cool. Yeah, so I focus a lot on the CRM space. I've also been in this CRM space for just over 15 years. And yeah, you can get me on the same details there.
So what we're going to talk about very briefly, just Intergen CRM year. I like to do this just to show you some of the things we've been doing. A lot of it's been covered in the keynote, so I'm going to go over it quite quickly, some of the aspects. Then we're going to look at the spring release, just for people who haven't seen the spring release, which was in around the April, sort of May timeframe. And then we're going to quickly jump into what's coming in the November-December release, which is the full CRM 2016. And we're going to show some demos as we go through that. So we've got quite a lot of content to get through. So, some of the things came out in the keynote. A great achievement this year was that we achieved the Microsoft Partner Awards for Dynamics CRM and ERP, the only partners to ever do that, which was fantastic for us. With the Empire team as well, we've got over 70 CRM dedicated consultants working across New Zealand and Australia. We've become one of the largest resellers of some of the key add-ons to Dynamics CRM with the Click Dimensions, Resco, and ADX Studio. One of the things I really want to pull out here is that from an MVP, I know this was really called out, but we've actually got 3 of the 64 CRM MVPs working for Intergen, which is one of the only organizations globally which has got that many MVPs in one dedicated space. So we've got a lot of skill across it here in New Zealand and in Australia. We've delivered over 100 CRM projects in the last year, since last Dynamics Day, and we've sold over 10,000 CRM seats. So huge amounts of numbers that we've been delivering. And for Microsoft, we as Chris also suggested, we deliver lots of projects for Microsoft Corp as well over in the Seattle office. When I look at and speak to customers, we're seeing that obviously the cloud is one of the key conversations which comes up with nearly every Dynamics CRM sort of conversation. You know, should we be in the cloud? Should we be moving to the cloud? If it's a new customer, is the cloud the right place to be? I'd probably say now that when I work with customers, new customers, that probably around 80% of them are going cloud versus that on-premise. It's a real big jump in this last year. People moved to cloud. It's probably because of the data centers opening up in the Sydney, Melbourne area, which obviously improves performance and efficiencies from that, and also with the amount of what's being released. As a team, we've presented at a number of global events. I presented out in Reno last week at the user group sessions for CRM, where there was over 5,000 people attending from around America and around Europe. presenting on sort of a unified service. Also presented at the IDEA conference, which was a Click Dimensions conference. So we get ourselves around the world and talking about the great things we're doing in CRM. Our largest deployment this year was around 200 users. And our key sort of industry focuses are really around the FMCG and agri-services and education. So those are sort of the key sort of highlights, I suppose, of Intergen as a year. And, you know, we're growing every day.
So I'm going to just take you through a couple of the sort of summary announcements that have happened over the last year. So Microsoft themselves have made a number of acquisitions. And so if you look at the types of acquisitions they've made, that will give you some ideas of what sort of features you might be able to expect in the coming releases of the Dynamics CRM platform. So first off is a company that does surveys called Mojo Surveys. And really what this is it's a rules-based multi-channel platform for allowing you to solicit feedback from your customers, to get that voice of the customer across the business. Field One is a mobile field service solution. So that really allows you to go out and service your customers out in the field. So there'll be a lot of good things coming out of that space. ADX Studio, Intergen's been doing quite a bit with ADX Studio over the last few years. And they're sort of one of the leading ISVs in the Microsoft CRM community that specialize in web portals and application lifecycle management. So Microsoft acquired or announced that acquisition a couple of weeks ago. And then Fantasy Sales Team is really a collaborative gamification platform. So that's allowed businesses over the years since they've been around to achieve increased revenue, better CRM adoption by encouraging collaboration and competition amongst team members.
I just want to add one point in there. The real change in the direction which Microsoft's seemingly going is buying solutions which have been built on top of Dynamics CRM from day one. In the past, Microsoft have purchased products which haven't been built on the Dynamics CRM platform and had to integrate them, like the NetBreeze, the Marketing Pilot. The last year, we're starting to see Microsoft buying products which are built for Dynamics.
So that really means it's going to be a faster time to market before we start seeing these capabilities natively in CRM. And then obviously we touched briefly around some of the go-to-market strategy changes with CRM becoming part of the cloud solution provider platform, of which both Intergen and Empire are tier 1 providers.
So just to reiterate, for Dynamics Day, we're packaging up. We see marketing as a key outcome a lot of organizations trying to drive. With our relationship with Click Dimensions, we're looking at packaging up a base marketing solution on CRM Online with Click Dimensions pre-installed into that environment, some pre-built Power BI dashboards around Google Analytics and the Click Dimensions space to give you that real data insights, create some web to lead forms, and social engagement. So really packaging up the whole solutions that we can deliver to you through the CSP model as a click and go sort of model.
And I think the important thing to note here as well is that this includes the CRM Online licensing and all of those kind of things. So it's not it's not in addition to those prices. It's all part of a single price offering. Okay, so we're going to take you briefly through the May release of CRM. So there were a number of sort of key pillars that were focused on. So first being productivity. And really the intention there was around bringing a more immersive experience between the Dynamics CRM platform and the Office 365 platform. So there's a lot more immersive content, richer features, and enablement of things like Office groups. In the mobility space, Microsoft continued to add in that space, and there was a release of a new phone client, which runs across all the different phone operating systems, as well as starting to enable some of the enterprise readiness capability, which you'll see more of in the future. In the social space, last year at Dynamics Day, we spoke to you about social listening. That moved forward into now social engagement. So now it's not just about looking at and listening to what's going on there. There's enhanced UI and collaboration tools that allow you to now engage with your customers more actively. And then the platform itself has seen some significant enhancements, especially in the performance area. And there have been a few tweaks to the user interface as well to make navigation far simpler. So we're going to have a quick look at some of those key components of the spring release. So first off is some of the new user interface changes. They're subtle in many ways, but at the same time make life a lot easier. So yeah, wrong one. Good point. Thanks. So the first part looks pretty much the same as what you would have been used to, but if you've used CRM 2013 prior, the moment you went into something like sales, you had a lot of scrolling to do to access all the entities, whereas now if we look at something like sales, it gives you a directly rendered view of all the entities there, so you can quickly and easily access wherever you want to go, and the same applies for the other areas of the system as well. And then another key feature is a recently used items list. So while this is a new feature in 2015, it was actually an old feature in 2011 days and disappeared for a while and has come back. So what this allows you to do is obviously see recently accessed items as well as pin things that you frequently use so that you can obviously get access to them quickly and easily. So if we go and have a look at a contact, for example, one of the other capabilities that was introduced is OneNote integration. So this leverages the pre-existing integration with SharePoint Online. And really what it does is allows you to have a mechanism to one, collaborate on information about your customers at a team level in sort of an unstructured way. So any OneNote notebooks that you have would be stored directly against the customer record. But you can then go and use these in OneNote in an offline capability, capture whatever kinds of details you want, whether it's some sort of meeting minutes or, perhaps if you're in the automotive industry, one of those little sketches where you're taking down where the damage is in your car, whatever it is, any kind of content that you want to put in there, and that will be stored in CRM and allow everyone to collaborate on that information.
Which is a great new feature because, I always come across customers saying, when I go out and have an appointment, where do I record the notes of that appointment? Do I put them in the appointment record? Do I put them in the notes field? What do I do with those appointment notes? Where now we can actually say, well, you put them in OneNote. Everyone works with that OneNote notebook. You create a new page for each meeting you have. Everyone can see those meeting notes, and you record once. Everyone can view them.
I mean, we've certainly seen over the years that more and more people in the Microsoft space are using OneNote on a day-to-day basis anyway. So just bringing that into your CRM environment now makes things a lot simpler. The next thing I want to show you is the immersive Excel experience. So from any list that you have in CRM, you can take that and open it directly in Excel Online. And so really what this allows you to do is, as a starting point, is things like bulk data editing. So any of the things that you would traditionally be able to do in Excel, you can do here. And so we can go and make changes directly to records here. So if we wanted to, caps lock's on, and I can't type today. If we want to change, city information or add new records, so you can just go and paste a whole lot of new records into this Excel spreadsheet and make those changes directly here and then save them straight back into CRM. In the background, this leverages the sort of standard Excel import capability that's been there in the past. So while you can quickly make the changes there, it'll take probably 30 or 40 seconds before they actually reflect because they're essentially being imported back in. But yeah, if I refresh in a couple of seconds, this data would have changed. The other thing I want to just touch on was the social engagement aspect as well. So we looked through social listening last year, so I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on the dashboard, but we've got capabilities around sentiment analysis and all of those kind of things. But when you go into a post now, one of the things you can do is you can directly link this to CRM. So we can take a post and create a case from it straight away, put any additional notes, and save it to CRM. So really, this allows you to start engaging with that information. So we can take information out of the social context and now start running it through our case management process or our opportunity management process.
So that's all we really wanted to show with Spring. There's a lot more capability in the Spring release, but we really want to spend the most of the time on what's coming up. Now, if you want to see any of those details from the Spring release, just go outside to our Ask the Expert stand, and they'll show you anything you want to see with any of the new releases coming out. So what I want to talk about is CRM 26. So this is going to be a mixture of some slides and some demo of some of the key capabilities coming probably around the December sort of time frame. So what we're seeing from Microsoft is a real drive to systems of intelligence. How can we leverage the information being captured inside of Dynamics CRM to deliver great insights for the users which are using it? How can we use predictive analytics to drive conversations, to drive next best action? One of my goals from ever with CRM was, we've got all this data in CRM, why can't CRM tell me what to do next? Why can't it tell me which lead to speak to next? Why can't it tell me which opportunity I should be working with next, based on the probability of me being able to win that, based on my skill set, based on the things that I'm doing? The CRM 2016 sort of release is looking at how we can start using machine learning type technologies inside of CRM to drive those cross-sell, upsell type opportunities natively within the system itself. From a mobile perspective, we're looking at task-based experiences. So what this really means, and this is a preview feature of CRM 2016, is that often a task in CRM doesn't just stop on account. It spans multiple entities. So I might be out at the customer site. I want to update the details of appointment. I then want to create an opportunity. I want to capture some details about the opportunity. In the current system, I would have to go in, hit new appointment, save. I then have to go back, hit new opportunity, save, and then update the details. Task-based experiences will actually drive me through a wizard-driven process to actually take me through all the steps I need to complete that without me switching between screens. Rich controls for business users. So Dylan will show a little bit later how with some of the new features of the mobile solution, we'll see that you can add some really nice controls to the standard UI. And also the ability to go full offline with out-of-the-box Dynamics CRM using Windows Azure services. From a productivity platform, we see introduction of OneDrive for Business. So at the moment, all documents are stored in SharePoint on Office 365. With the release of CRM 2016, you can also use OneDrive for Business for storing notebooks and documents against that particular account or opportunity. Mail merge, just briefly touching on this, they've enhanced mail merge capabilities to be able to drive through sort of a pane inside of Word to drag and drop fields onto it, very much like an MS CRM add-ons. It's the first step. It's not as good as MS CRM add-ons yet, Document Core Pack, but it's going down that sort of direction. The Excel analysis, so Dylan showed you how you could open up Excel in online and really just edit data. With CRM 2016, they're actually taking another step further and adding sort of like a dashboarding type of capability inside of Excel. So you can build out templates which you could pull your data out, and it will have predefined sort of charts and dashboards which you can play with the data and actually analyze the data inside of Excel of that particular view. From a platform perspective, one of the biggest, not issue is how do I get data from my on-premise world into my online world in a speedy, performance-rich way. So Microsoft has identified this really as being an issue currently, and they're now releasing with CRM 2016 a bulk data loader system, which will help improve the performance of loading data into Dynamics CRM by providing the tool set required to actually do that heavy lifting of data. Next generation search, I'll talk in a little bit, but the Interactive Service Hub is a new UI they're looking at for Service Desk, and very interactive, interactive filters, interactive dashboards, and I'll show you what that looks like. So, the first thing is search. Search is really important in any tool. How do I find information? With CRM 2013 and 2015 introduced global search and the ability to search across multiple entities for a record. What they're bringing in with CRM 2016 is a next generation search. So this is searching across context of what you're searching for across multiple records. So it's actually going to look for what's the high predictability of your search strings based on what you're looking for. So that might bring up opportunities, cases, contacts in one seamless list of records. So it's going to actually look inside the records to work out, based on what you've put in for a criteria, this is what we think you're actually trying to find. Voice of customer. So the voice of customer is the acquisition of Mojo surveys. This is completely built inside of Dynamics CRM. It gives you a real rich capability of building out a whole heap of different types of survey controls. So imagine SurveyMonkey. It's pretty much a straight swap from SurveyMonkey into Voice of Customer. Everything you can do is some type of a SurveyMonkey tool. You can actually do directly inside of Dynamics CRM with the Voice of Customer acquisition. So whether you want smiley faces, whether you want stars, whether you want drop-down lists, matrices of questions, you can create all those natively within the Dynamics CRM user interface. You then can use workflow to send that survey off to a customer using the native sort of email integration of Dynamics CRM. Those surveys are rendered on mobile phones, on browsers, and automatically resized based on where they're rendering. So it's a real complete Voice of Customer, which you can kick off from cases, closures of opportunities, whatever process you want. It's fully embedded within inside the tool. So it's a great enhancement to Dynamics CRM.
So the next piece we want to touch on is the mobility themes for 2016. So as I said earlier, in the May release, we saw the new phone client come out. But over the last 6 months, Microsoft have really spent a lot of effort doing a lot more work in the mobile management space. And there's sort of 3 key themes that they're focusing on, productivity being one of them. So that's quite a common theme throughout the entire Dynamics CRM platform at the moment. But within the productivity space, really what they're trying to do is enable users to kind of get in, get out, and get access to the information that you want as quickly as possible, while also introducing more immersive and different ways of experiencing that data. So some of the things that we get there is document management capabilities, so really allowing you to access your Office document content directly on your mobile device. And some of that's achieved through what's called app-to-app deep linking. So basically the CRM app now can provide your mobile device with information that tells it exactly what type of document it is and that it opens in the right application. So it makes it a lot more seamless to work with those things. And then leveraging things like Cortana to give you, contextual information that's relevant to you and to what you're doing. So, based on time of day or where you're going, starting to surface some of that CRM information to you through your mobile device. The other side is on the platform itself. So there's been a lot of enhancements to the platform. So there's a lot of new mobile controls, some of which we'll have a look at in a moment. Stephen spoke briefly about the task-based experiences. So that's really about taking a flow of your task process and kind of trying to streamline it so the user can quickly work through that task flow. One of the other things from a customizer point of view is mobile form preview. So historically, you could, the form was driven off of your main CRM form, but you wouldn't really be able to see what it's going to look like on the mobile until you'd published your changes and actually opened it up on your mobile. Whereas now there's a preview capability that allows you to see exactly what it's going to look like beforehand. And then web resources and iframes, which are some of the components that you can have on a CRM form today, were in a preview form earlier this year, and they'll be generally available across all the mobile devices for Windows, iOS, and Android going forward. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in the May release, we saw some enterprise readiness capability finding its way in, and that's really moving into the next realm, starting to introduce some of the features that enterprise customers have been asking for a while, not least of which is offline support. So really that allows you to be able to work with all your data offline, not just the things that you've accessed recently, and sync it back to CRM, as well as mobile management through Microsoft Intune. So it's really allowing enterprises to effectively manage all of their mobile devices and policies and that through that platform. So if we look at the mobile controls, there's about 15 new mobile controls that have been introduced. So you can kind of skim through the list there. But really what this does is it allows us to represent any of the kind of data that we have in CRM in different, more interactive ways. So the examples that we've got here is like an arc knob or a radial knob. This really allows you to take any kind of numeric field and one, represented graphically, but two, allow the user to actually interact with it and change those values using touch and to be a bit more interactive. Another quite interesting control is the calendar control. What's interesting about it is that it's not just a calendar based on your activities. This is a control that can take any of the data that you have in CRM that has date information and render it like that. So now you can go look at an account, for example, and look at your opportunities in a calendar view, either by day, by week, or by month, by looking at something like estimated close dates. So you can now see how opportunities are represented over time. Mobile form preview. So through the customization interface for CRM, you can now preview what your mobile form is going to look like in both the phone and the tablet form factor. So it really just makes it much simpler to develop those things. So if we have a quick look at mobile, So, I mean, the look and feel of the mobile client in general hasn't changed too much, but if we went into something like an account record here, I don't know if I can zoom in much. Yeah, maybe I can. There we go. So, for starters, we have a switch-based controls. So if you look at something like an email toggle, apparently I'm offline. Let's see if I can reconnect quickly.
I thought you were going to do everything in offline mode then, Dylan.
Yeah. In alpha, it was a good try. I just have to refresh this account quickly. Apparently don't change network settings. Yeah, it's not going to work for me. Yeah, but essentially you can see the views of the different types of controls that you get here now. So we have switch-based controls, so you can toggle them, like the switches you're familiar with on all of your mobile devices. Numeric represented in like an arc knob, and if this was editable for me, then you can actually touch and scroll this. And then option sets or drop-down lists, you can render those in different ways as well. So also buttons that make life a lot easier. And there's many others that you can enable.
Okay, thank you. So a sneak preview of the mobile. So what I want to talk about a little bit now is what's called interactive service hubs. Interactive service hubs is a new concept of what Microsoft is releasing. For looking at the moment at service, and it's a completely new UI on top of Dynamics CRM, specific for service. So it's not saying you can still use the standard user interface, still access service as you would do, but they're now trialing how can we make this much more immersive, much more interactive with our users. And as you'll see from the demo and some of the screenshots, it's looking very similar to mobile. So the first thing is that this is a limited capability in the CRM 2016 release, so there'll be limited editing capability. But what we're starting to see is some multi-stream dashboards. I'll show you these in a minute, but all the filters in that top bit, if I click on those, they'll automatically filter the records in the underlying link, so it's very, very interactive. The streams that I choose to show there depend on what I want. They could be based on different queues. They could be based on my activities, my cases, follow-up items, so I can control what I display in those streams. I can perform actions directly within the stream, so I can actually update the records directly within there by right-clicking and doing some actions. I can visually show things in colors as well, so you can see the red, the purple, the yellow there. So I can show things in different colors, maybe based on SLA, based on the type of record, the queue that it's in. And there's some degree it's customizable, so I can configure it and personalize it to the way that I want it. When I open up a record, this is what I'm presented with from the user interface. So on the left-hand side, gives me some view of the customer information. In the middle is what we call the timeline, and this is going to show all the different interactions which are occurring in this record in one continuous view, which I can filter and interact with and engage with. I've got business processes still in the top, and we'll see they've redesigned these to fly out rather than just drop down, so gain saving real estate of the screen. Quick commands, so on any of the records I can do some quick commands. And then we've got a knowledge base, the ability to link knowledge base articles directly in here. And also with CRM in 2016, and this is a real interesting move, and we haven't really got our hands around this. So they bought Parature. So Microsoft bought Parature, when was it, last year?
October 2014.
Yeah, October 2014. Yep. Which has got a great knowledge base capability. Dynamics CRM's knowledge base really hasn't changed since probably version 3 of the product. With CRM 2016, they're revamping and redesigning the whole knowledge base built inside of Dynamics CRM. So this is separate to Parature knowledge base. And what they're providing here, built directly within the tool itself, is a complete overhaul of the creation, authoring, and approval processes, a WYSIWYG editor to be able to make it look nice and bring in imagery. It leverages all the new forms of the interactive service. I can do versioning, so I can do major version, minor versions of the content, so pushing that through. I can do translations of the actual articles themselves, so depending on where I'm working, I'll get translated articles. And I can embed these knowledge base articles anywhere within the tool itself, across all entities. So I can access knowledge wherever I am through the Outlook client or through the forms themselves. Okay, so what I thought I'd do is the best way of really showing this is actually showing you what these interact. Now, this is an alpha release. We only got our hands on this alpha release about a couple of weeks ago. So it's all very new. So this is where I fingers crossed.
So because we're able to show this today, we'll make it available at our Ask the Expert stand as well, so you can come and have a look at a little bit more detail around 2016.
Yeah, so what I really want to just go straight into is the interactive. So the main functionality within the standard user interface of Dynamics CRM really hasn't changed too much from the CRM 2015. There's some more definition of space, but I think what's interesting is to show these hubs. So when I look in here, this is a separate URL. So this is a new unique URL for CRM Online only. So when I go into CRM and I go into the service area, there'll be a link to say, do you want to open this up in the new engagement hub? You click on that, then I'm presented with really service only and a limited set of entities that I can work with. So my accounts, my contacts, and my service-related records. In the actual dashboard itself, I can see my different streams. So my active cases, my resolved cases, any draft emails. If I click on the little filter, it brings down a new interactive dashboard designer. If I click into here, it automatically filters all my records underneath as well. So it's very interactive. I can click in, and it's going to automatically filter the records based on where I'm clicking in the dashboards themselves. It's very similar to social engagement in the sense you've got this nice, I can define my date range and timing. So again, the products are coming very together in their look and feel. And then I can also go in and look at my Tier 2 dashboard, which shows me information, across my different priorities. Again, this is being a single stream of information, so my active case or active cases, and looking at those cases by priority, by product, if there were any, by case mix. And again, this is configurable to what charts you play on here, what's in the queue versus what I've got, and what are my 4 tasks that I'm working with. Any of these I can click in and look at those different records straight within here and access those information straight from the actual dashboards themselves. And then finally, we've got the sort of knowledge manager. And this will actually show me what's the different status of the different articles, what's the most popular articles being used. And in my knowledge base will show you, what are the knowledge articles being used, what my published ones are, what my expired ones are, how they're being used across the system as well. So if we open up a record and take a look at a record, how do I minimize this?
Just Control minus. Yeah, that's fine.
So if I open up a record, then I'm presented with, sort of the information in the main content. I can still click through the different sort of tabs to look at the details. I've got a timeline area here where I can look at information. And I can click on the more and do different things. So, I can potentially translate a record, archive it, send it to trash, relate a product and do different actions on that record itself. I can also go into areas like accounts and click on accounts. And you might have noticed here, certainly when I started playing with this, it looks very much like the mobile. So the direction we're seeing Microsoft going is actually people are working on touch-based tools. They need the system to be very much more enabled for mobile. So the new experience they're providing for these interactive hubs are very much mobile-like related. So I can down here and see all the details. I can go in and edit those records, the timeline. Again, I can come in here or create new records, new contacts. Across here is a related record, so I can click through and see different related records. So very, very interactive, very much focused on the task about what the user needs to see. And from a knowledge perspective, so if I look at knowledge, again, we got different statuses of knowledge. If I click into a particular knowledge base article, then we can see the details, what state it's in. If I drive down, I can see the content of that, and you can see it's a WYSIWYG editor here where I can edit and update pictures, update links, etc. Now, what was on the slide deck, and I'll show you later, if you want to sign up for CRM 2016 and have a preview of that org, to have a play about with it, then on the slide deck, which will be made available to you, you can just follow these procedures and go through and sign up to the NDA, which Microsoft provide, and then they'll give you full access to Dynamics CRM 2016 for you to take a look at. So if I want to go in here and create a new article, it's just simply hitting new, and I can come in here and start populating the data. Keyword searching, all those sort of things.
I think obviously an important thing to remember is, as we said, this is an early alpha version of CRM 2016, so a lot of what you see here may still change quite a bit before we release the product at the end of the year.
Yeah, and one other thing to note is the process. So in CRM 2015, the process sort of drops down, takes up some real estate. What they're doing with the process inside of CRM 2016 are these flyouts. So if I click on here, they fly out as such. And I can still edit them and update them, etc., and then mark for review, completed, etc. So those are really the new knowledge CRM 2016. I might just switch this. So from just to show you, this is CRM 2016 as well. So this is through the web browser. If I come in here and just click on accounts, it's still saying very similar navigation. The key real differences, I suppose, is really just how the UI looks. So if I open up an account record, or not. Worked so good so far. You really just see some white boxes around the this is connecting to the states. So really the only real major difference in the UI look and feel is they've just defined the areas on the form. So some of the feedback with CRM 20, although very minor, it was very hard to see the defined areas of the form. So they've put some white boxes around them to really highlight this is the different information areas. So that's really CRM 2016, and like I say, if you go out to Ask the Experts, they're more than happy to sort of show you around any other sort of features. But really, it's very similar. A lot of things in the background which has changed with this new version. So I'm a little bit over time, but so that's, I suppose, what really get across here. With all of Microsoft, there's a whole lot of new capability coming out with every single release. They're trying new things. They're trying to see how can we take advantage of machine learning. How can we make the user experience a lot cleaner, a lot more task-orientated? How can we improve the mobile experience for the users? How can we make, from a service perspective, reduce clicks, just show information just the user needs, make it very interactive for them to use? And we've seen that coming through the product now with these first types of releases.
Probably the other important thing that, some of you may or may not know, is the way the release cycle works is in the middle of the year, we saw a whole lot of new functionality coming into CRM Online. This end-of-year release brings the functionality we've shown you here, plus all of those other things to the on-premise environment as well, with a few caveats. So there were one or two things that we spoke about, like next-gen search, which is sort of starting its life as a preview feature. So a lot of those preview features will be in online only at the end of the year, but you'll see more parity between everything you've seen in the middle of the year and a whole lot of the capability that we've shown you today in on-premise.
Yeah, and this is the slide. So once you get access service, if you did want to take a look at 2016 and get an organization provisioned online for you, then you just follow these 3 steps. It's open to anybody to sign up to, and you'll get full access to everything that we get access to from a preview perspective. So the only difference is we get access to alpha, you'll get access to the beta release when it comes out. Yeah. So that's it for now. I think I've run over just a few minutes over, but are there any questions I can take here, or we can take out at the expert.
So we're going into a break now as well, so
Yep.
you can stick around and ask a few questions if you like, or go and grab some coffee.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.